How are you guys? Greg Garrick here for Just the Tip Tuesday. In two different countries today. We got Greg way over in Canada on a video chat,
Hey everybody, how you doing?
and I'm here in our Costa Mesa office in California. Two different countries, still managed to get the same shirt on, so that's good. Definitely sync there. No issues. Today we're going to talk about
And both shirts are mine, by the way, just for the record. They're both
also true, also true. For good reason though. We're the same size, mostly because he gained some weight. I lost a little bit. We met in the middle. Now we're happily hanging out there, same size.
happily.
Um, I got food poisoning yesterday. I recovered very nicely today. Greg did not even ask me how I felt this morning. He just scheduled this podcast. So
You know
luckily,
what? I actually thought about it. I thought about calling you or texting you, and then I just forgot. I got sidetracked. But I did think about it right away. First thing out of the bed this morning, I thought of you, which is kind of
maybe
bizarre.
maybe he's not feeling well, but no, I was feeling great. I was feeling real good. So
Yeah, you look fantastic.
thank you, thank you. We're going to talk about credit scores and why everybody thinks their credit score is way higher, and then when they actually go through the process, it ends up being lower. And we're also going to talk about some things that you may think would affect your credit adversely for a mortgage that could be overlooked or overcome to still get a mortgage. So, you want to touch on any of that, Greg?
Yeah, well, I think maybe you should fire it off first, and I'll ask questions along the way, pretending that I'm like,
Yeah, so we have
yeah.
we use three bureaus in the U.S. You have your Experian, your TransUnion, and your Equifax. Three credit reporting bureaus, but there's several different scoring models you can use for each of these bureaus. So what we do in the mortgage industry is we'll see the score from all three of your bureaus. Say it's a 690, a 700, and a 710. And what we have to do to make the decision on the mortgage is we use that middle score. So that would be the 700 score. So what happens is there's the ability to do a soft inquiry. Typically, a soft inquiry is one bureau, and because it's not a hard inquiry, it doesn't impact your credit at all. There could be some trade lines that are missed, which would result in that score being maybe a little bit lower than it would be for a hard inquiry. The the flip side of that is if you just do a soft inquiry, we could only be seeing your lowest score, and when you pull all three, the one that we're going to use to make the decision could actually be higher, which would obviously give you an advantage in any pricing situation. The way that the credit score affects your interest rate, it does affect it, but it's not the only thing that affects it. So there's other factors like loan to value, which would be what the value of your house is compared to how much you're borrowing. Obviously, if the home is worth 100,000 and you borrow 100,000, that's 100% loan to value. If you borrowed 80,000 and the home was worth 100,000, that's 80% loan to value. So that loan to value, the lower it is, obviously, anytime you look at anything with interest rates and pricing, the reason you're going to have a higher interest rate compared to a lower interest rate is always risk to the bank. So, whatever a bank looks at when they're looking at your scenario, they're establishing how much risk they're taking by loaning you money. So, when you have the highest credit score possible, the lowest loan to value possible, let's say you owe 40 grand on a house that's worth 100. If you default, they're only loaning you $40,000. You have a great credit score, which is your track record of always paying all of your bills. And then if you default and they get that house back, it's worth 100 grand and they only loaned you 40. So they're in an equitable situation. So that's a very low risk situation, which is why you would in turn get a lower interest rate than someone who had maybe less of a credit score and was trying to borrow 80,000 on a home that's worth 100,000. So your credit score is a factor in that, but it's not the only one. They look at the loan to value, the credit score, as well as the type of loan program, whether it's a government loan or a non-insured government loan, things like that. So your credit score does impact the interest rate, but it's not the only factor that impacts your interest rate.
Okay, so I got a couple of questions. So, what is the difference between when people use the terminology a hard pull and a soft pull? But I'm talking finance right now, though.
Yeah, so a hard inquiry is they're it's funny because they're exactly the same thing. They're both an inquiry on the bureau. A hard inquiry is one that's requested by and for the consumer. So that is why it impacts your credit score and it logs as an inquiry. A
Does,
soft
does the inquiry look bad or good to your credit? Does it affect your credit score in a positive way or a negative way?
If it affects it at all, it would be in a slightly negative way, depending on how many inquiries you're getting. You obviously don't want to go get a ton. And a soft inquiry is a request that's by a company, not by the consumer, which is why it doesn't impact the consumer's credit report. Even though they're getting relatively the same information, that's the difference. One's requested by the consumer, one's requested by a company, and not the consumer, so it doesn't affect the consumer.
Okay.
Um,
Can I ask another question?
yeah,
Is it okay?
yeah, I'll take some
Am
more.
am I screwed up your tempo right now?
No, you're good.
Okay. All right. So,
Cool. I'm here.
um,
In this Costa Mesa office, but we'll be all right.
all right. All right. Let me know when I can ask the question.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay. Um, so a hard pull and a soft pull. So what you're saying is, that say I want to shop for a mortgage, and I go to different lending institutions. Like I go to a bank, I go to a broker, a loan officer, I go to multiple different places, and they're pulling my credit consistently. Obviously, that's going to make my credit score go down dramatically. Correct?
Yeah,
So you want to have a place where basically you could go to one place, pull one credit bureau, and have all the lenders come to you with their best rates and offers. Does that sound familiar?
yeah, that would be ideal. That would be a great idea. If,
Is that out there? Do you know?
yeah, yeah, it is. I heard of this one company. Pretty sure you own it. It's called Shop Your Own Mortgage. Exactly what they do.
Oh, okay. So people knew that they can go to one spot, go through the application process once, pull a credit bureau once, and have all the selection they need. That'd be pretty convenient for them, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be convenient. It'd be even more convenient if that place didn't charge them any fees, so that not only could they see the best rate,
What?
they could get the best rate without paying any origination fees or lender fees of any sort.
What? No,
Yeah,
that's not out there. That's not out there.
it's out there. We're doing it right
We're
now.
doing it. Are we doing it?
First we're in a blender. Now we're saving lives.
First year in a blender, and now we're saving lives. What movie is that from? Trivia question number one. All right, cool. What else? What about this one? This is the one I get all asked all the time. Is how do I get my credit score to go up as fast as possible if I missed a payment or I'm trying to apply for something, and in the past I've made poor decisions on my bill paying, and my credit score isn't very high. How can I get what kind of things can I do to impact my score in a positive way quickly?
If you have any collection accounts, paying those off, obviously.
So was that a little more clear? Sorry, a collection account?
Yeah, if you have any collection accounts, like let's say you have a credit card that had a small balance when you were 18 or 19 and you didn't pay it and they charged that off, that will show as a collection for, even if it's a few $100s, a collection account on your report will affect it drastically. By paying that off, I mean, you could get, anywhere from 15 to 30, 40 points just from paying collection accounts off in full. If it wasn't yours or you want to dispute it, disputing it and getting that handled would also help. And then just bringing anything current. If you have anything that was late or anything that still is late, making sure that you pay all of that up. And if that's not the reason, if you don't have any collection accounts, you don't have any past due balances, but you have high balances on your credit, they always say the magic number is somewhere at or below 15% of your credit utilization. So if you have $1,000 available on a credit card, you want to be using, 150 or less of that to get the optimal impact for your score. Uh,
So if I want to apply for a car or a mortgage, and say I had 4 or 5 credit cards, and all of them make numbers simple, all of them were like $5,000 limits. Okay, actually I'll make it even more simple. They're all $1,000 limits, and I was at $999 on each one. My score would be low because of that. Correct?
exactly. Yeah, your
I
score would
maxed
have
out all my
a pretty
maxed out
negative
all my
impact.
Yeah, I maxed out my unsecured credit. Now, if each of those credit cards were, say, you're saying 15% below the balance, my score would be going up. So 15% of 1,000 is 85, $850. So
15.
if I would say at $800 at each credit card, and the balance was 1,000, sorry, the limit's 1,000, and my balance is 800 or 850 or lower, then it would impact it immediately, correct?
Yeah, it would impact in a positive way, but the most positive way would be if you could get it below 15%, which would mean you pay off $850 on each of
Oh, okay, gotcha.
that you're only using at or below 15% of your total limit. And you
I,
could use it throughout the month as long as you were to pay it off again. But as long as it doesn't report a balance of more than 15% utilization, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's how credit scores work.
okay, cool. All right, sweet. Anything else you want to go over?
Oh yeah, I got lots of stuff to go over, but not right now. It's a whole different
Well,
episode.
if anybody else has questions about credit that we may not have picked up on or talked about, please
Yeah.
feel free to submit a question and we'll be able to answer it immediately. And if we don't know the answer, we will source it out and get back to you as quick as possible.
We could hit a really some quick ones. You can get an FHA loan with 10% down with a
So
500.
what kind of loan?
FHA, Federal Housing Administration, a government loan, first-time home buyer, 3.5% down payment with a minimum score. Um, well, actually, if you have a 500 credit score, there's programs that would allow you to do 10% down. So people that are in the 500s or the low 600s, there is avenues to purchase some different loans. I know obviously it'll have a higher rate than some people that have 720, or the highest credit score you can get, by the way, is like 850. So it's on a range from 350 to 850.
Have you ever seen an 850?
I've seen an 849, and they were husband and wife, and they were matching, and they had been married for like 64 years.
Wow, that's my age.
Yeah, he was absolutely miserable, but he had fantastic credit.
All right. What's the lowest credit score you've seen?
I've seen a 330. No, I've seen a 392.
Wow, that person that died.
Yeah. Yeah, and they weren't that old either. They were in their 20s, but they just, yeah, I don't even know how it happened.
You have to go out of your way to have that score. Like, you have to like want to have that score.
And they had like cell phone bill collection accounts. T-Mobile was after them.
It's harder work to get that score than to have a higher score. Like, you have to go out of your way.
You got to commit to it. It's like, I don't want to pay anybody.
It's like you going to a buffet. You commit to it. You work hard in there. You put a hard hat on. You put your steel-toe shoes on, and you go in there and
yeah, I mean,
you crush food.
Buffets as long as
3,500 calories minimum to about 10,000.
Yeah, 35.
Buffet sitting. Yeah.
Depends on the price of that buffet though. If it's like a cheaper buffet, I might get away with 2 plates where I feel like I got my money's worth.
And if it's expensive, or you're just there for 4 or 5 hours, just take naps in between
meals, like the box. If I go somewhere in Vegas, you're gonna pay $100 for a buffet. You better bet I'm gonna go right in at like 10, and I'm gonna get my breakfast, take a little break, grab a lunch,
stretch it out, do some yoga in the restaurant,
grab a few laps at the buffet, get some coffee in there, and then
all right. Maybe drop like John Goodman in between, or what?
Yeah, if it needs to be done, that's how I feel with buffet. You just gotta get your money's worth. Same with all you can eat sushi. I'll just start looking at the prices, add them up.
I love sushi. I could do some all you can eat sushi right now. For sure.
Oh wow. I went to Thai soup last night. It made my stomach feel amazing.
All right, that's good. Well, I think that's it. What do you think, Garrick? Anything else you want to cover before we check out here?
No. I just want to highlight, if you guys have any questions, let us know. You guys have
a really good hair day today too. So if you want to comment on that, feel free.
Get that flow.
Yeah, it's good.
That hair is looking back
in Canada, I got the proper hair product going on right now. It makes a big difference.
All the humidity in California
Makes a difference in my hair game for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll let the viewers decide whether there's a big difference.
There's a lot of viewers, so we're getting a lot of feedback. Just be aware.
Well, 7 people. If you guys, all 7 of you commented.
And there's 4 of us watching right now. So
yeah, that's true. All 7 were within our office, but we might get one person out there. Yeah, I think we'll talk to you guys next week and have a fantastic week.
Thanks, everybody. We'll talk soon. Remember, any questions, please feel free to ask them and send them over to our portal here. Thank you.